My name is Cassidy Hale. I'm 28 years old. And this is how I took revenge on the man who destroyed my soul, made me doubt my worth, and left me with nothing until I took everything back, and then some. The wedding invitation arrives on a Tuesday. Ordinary mail day, ordinary envelope, no warning. I sit behind the wheel of my car, parked in front of my apartment building, keys dangling from the ignition. The cream colored envelope rests on the passenger seat, a mocking little thing with gold foil edges and calligraphy that screams money and taste and lies. I don't touch it at first. I just stare. My fingers twitch against the steering wheel. I already know what it is. I knew the second I saw the return address. I haven't spoken their names in 2 years. Not out loud. Not since that night. But now, the words crawl up my throat like bile. Ethan, I whisper. My voice breaks. Maya, my former fiancée, my former best friend, my former life. I reach for the envelope. My hands are trembling. The paper feels heavier than it should, like it knows it carries something poisonous. I tear it open. A gold embossed card slides out, thick and smug. You are cordially invited to celebrate the union of Ethan Cole and Maya Lynn. The rest of the words blur. I can't see through the heat in my eyes. Then, a flash, like a knife to the memory. It was my birthday, 26. We'd rented out the rooftop of a downtown bar. There were fairy lights and overpriced cocktails and all my favorite people. I went back to the apartment for my jacket. Just for 5 minutes. I still remember how the door creaked open, how I heard laughter, low and familiar. Then the bedroom door, open. I remember the sound before anything else. The moan, the gasp. I remember Maya's hand clawing at the sheets. Ethan's back arched over her. They didn't even stop. Not when I opened the door. Not when I screamed. Not when the wine glass in my hand shattered on the floor. Maya turned to me like I was an inconvenience. Ethan didn't even look ashamed. That was the day I became invisible. I snapped back to the present. Breath caught in my throat. My nails are digging into my palm, drawing tiny half moons into my skin. They're getting married, like nothing happened, like they didn't set fire to everything I had. But I didn't stay broken. No, I built something out of that wreckage. Something stronger, sharper. I made a promise to myself that night. If they could live with betraying me, I'd make damn sure they'd regret it. I grew up in a town so small. People gave directions using landmarks like turn left at the old gas station with the broken Coke sign. Ash Grove, Oregon. Population 3,402. The kind of place where everybody knows your birthday and your business. I was the good girl. Cassidy Hale, daughter of Mrs. Hale, the AP English teacher with a spine of steel and a heart of gold. Honor student, choir soloist. Never drank, never snuck out, never kissed a boy behind the bleachers. I followed the rules because I believed in them, because I believed in her. Then she got sick, and 6 months later, she was gone. I was 17. 1 minute, I was standing in the kitchen with her, arguing about whether I could take the car out past 10. The next, I was staring at the walls of an ICU, counting the seconds between beeps. After that, it was just me and Dad. He didn't talk much, but when he did, it mattered. He taught me how to survive by doing the right thing, even when no one's watching. How to stand on my own 2 feet. But grief leaves cracks, and cracks let the wrong people in. I was 23 when I met Ethan. I'd just moved to Portland, trying to outrun small-town shadows. I got a junior position at a boutique agency doing product design for eco-friendly fashion brands. The pay was crap, but I didn't care. It was mine, my first step, my dream with real legs. Ethan Cole walked into my life like he owned it, and soon He did. He was everything I wasn't. Bold, magnetic, polished. The heir to a luxury real estate empire. He knew people, important people, and made you feel like you mattered simply by standing next to him. But he didn't just see me, he studied me, admired my work ethic, told me I grounded him, that I wasn't like the women he usually dated. At first, I thought I was lucky, chosen. He brought me into his world: rooftop parties, imported champagne, designer clothes I couldn't pronounce. I played the part: quiet, supportive, put together Cassidy. I thought I was his calm in the storm. In reality, I was just his accessory. The one person who kept me tethered to myself was Maya. We'd been best friends since sixth grade, when she defended me from a group of boys teasing me about my hand-me-down shoes. She was electric, wild, unapologetic, loud when I was quiet. I watched her like people watch fireworks, with awe and the quiet knowledge you could never be that bright. She made me feel alive. But somewhere along the way, that admiration turned into imbalance. At first, it was little things: copying the way I did my makeup, flirting with my high school crushes. But she'd laugh it off, say I was imagining things. And I believed her, because I trusted her. We were ride or die, sisters without the blood. She was there when I met Ethan. She toasted us at our engagement party. She helped me pick the ring setting, and she was always around, too much. There were signs. Ethan got colder. Maya got clingier. She'd drop by unannounced, always dressed like she was going somewhere better. She'd make comments that stung more than they should have. "She's jealous," my dad said once, quietly, after she left my apartment. I laughed. "Of me? Not of you," he said. "Of your goodness." But I shrugged it off, because I believed in her, in them, because I was the idiot who always forgave, the girl who made excuses for other people's darkness, even when it drowned her own light. In the months before everything imploded, I was finally building something real. I'd branched out of the agency, started freelancing for small brands. I helped a local designer launch her first capsule collection. I was running marketing campaigns, building style guides, handling influencer outreach, and they were listening, respecting me. For once, I wasn't just someone's girlfriend. I was building something that had my name on it. I was proud. And then it happened. On my birthday. They didn't just betray me, they rewrote me. Suddenly, I was the fool, the background character in someone else's love story. But here's what neither of them counted on: good girls make the best liars, because we've spent our whole lives hiding what we really feel. And me? I'm done hiding. The knife that didn't kill me, I remember everything. The candles, vanilla bean and sandalwood, warm, nostalgic. The playlist, hours spent curating it. Indie love songs, soft jazz, the one Bon Iver track that made Ethan tear up once. The dress, deep emerald green, fitted at the waist, off the shoulder. I bought it just for him. The color, he said, made my eyes look almost dangerous. I remember where I hid the note, folded neatly inside a small cream envelope, tucked into my clutch under the table. I'd planned to give it to Ethan after the cake, when it was just the two of us. The note said, "You made me believe in forever again." Taped to the back was my mother's ring, an antique rose gold band with a flawed sapphire, cloudy from time but still beautiful. I wanted to give it to our daughter one day, if we ever had one. The rooftop shimmered with fairy lights. My friends toasted me with overpriced cocktails. Maya danced like she always did, bold, barefoot, the center of every camera lens. Ethan looked distracted, but I told myself he was just tired. He kissed my cheek, murmured, "Back in a second," and disappeared inside. I went looking for him 10 minutes later. Just wanted to check if he'd seen the cake arrive. Stupid. Sweet. The elevator was slow. I hummed along to the music, oblivious. I didn't even take my heels off when I walked into the apartment. Didn't knock. Why would I knock on my own door? The guest room door was open 2 inches. Enough. Their laughter was the first thing I heard. Low, intimate. Then the slap of skin, the rhythm, the breathless gasps, and Maya's voice. God, you're so bad. I didn't scream. Not at first. I pushed the door open like a sleepwalker. Maya was straddling him, one strap of her red silk dress hanging down her arm, her hair wild, her lipstick smeared. Ethan's shirt was unbuttoned, his hand on her hip, her fingers in his hair. They didn't stop, not when I opened the door, not when my mouth dropped open, not when I dropped my clutch and the note and the ring spilled out on the carpet like broken glass. Ethan, I heard myself say. He finally looked at me, expression flat. Maya turned, but she didn't scramble, didn't cover herself, just tilted her head and gave me that same smug, bored look she'd been perfecting since high school. Oh, she said. Cassidy. I stood there, frozen, seconds, stretched like hours, the pounding in my ears louder than the rooftop speakers upstairs. You had to know, Ethan said. I mean, come on, Cassidy. Look at yourself. That was the part that broke me. Not the sex, not the betrayal, not even the fact that it was her. It was the tone, dismissive, cold, like I was the idiot for ever thinking I belonged. Maya rolled her eyes. We didn't mean for it to happen. But we're in love. She actually said it like that. Like we were in some CW drama and I was just the side character no one rooted for. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I bent down, picked up my purse, left the ring and the letter lying on the carpet like they meant nothing. I walked out, past the cake, the candles, the crowd waiting to yell surprise when I returned, past the makeup kit I left on the counter, the agency client files on the coffee table, my favorite mug in the sink. I left everything, the apartment, the life, the person I'd been. I disappeared from their world, but I never stopped watching. People underestimate the quiet ones, the ones who leave without a scene. They think silence means surrender. But I didn't disappear to grieve. I disappeared to study, to prepare. I watched from the shadows while they moved on like I never existed. Maya got my job referrals. Ethan got our apartment. They posted pictures, curated captions. Love wins. But love doesn't win. I do. And now their wedding invitation sits in my lap, gold-edged, full of lies. And I'm ready. Not to cry, not to break, to burn. Ashes first, then fire after. I walked out. I had nowhere to go. My name wasn't on the lease. The agency had already given Maya the lead on our latest client. My phone was a graveyard of unanswered calls and half-hearted condolences. I didn't want sympathy. I wanted silence, so I called Aunt Lenora. We hadn't spoken in years, not since my mom's funeral, when I told her she didn't get to waltz back into our lives after 10 years away. But when I heard her voice on the other end of the line, raspy, no nonsense, always a little tired, I didn't feel pride. I felt relief. You can come, she said. It's not fancy, but it's yours if you need it. And that's how I ended up in a one-room studio above her second-hand bookstore in Portland, living among the smell of old paper and floorboards that creaked with every step. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I didn't move much. I just sat, haunted. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. The glint in Ethan's eye when he said, "Look at yourself." Maya's smirk, like betrayal was just some inside joke I'd missed the punchline to. I tried working, following up on clients I'd pitched to, answering old emails, but the replies came in cold. Actually, we've decided to move forward with someone else. Thanks, but Maya Lynn's firm is handling our campaign now. 2 clients ghosted. 1 blocked me outright. My inbox became a trail of slow rejections. I watched my tiny dream disintegrate in real time. I hit rock bottom on a Wednesday. I hadn't showered in 3 days. A moldy cup of coffee sat on the windowsill. My laptop screen was open to a job board I didn't have the energy to scroll. I was invisible. Again, only this time I let myself be. Until one night I snapped. Maya posted an Instagram story. Soft lighting, full glam, wine glass in hand. Watch me rise while the jealous stay bitter. I stared at the screen, heart thudding. That was it. That was the moment. Something inside me shifted. Not rage, not even heartbreak. Focus. It started small, anonymous. I created a burner TikTok account. No name, no face, just a voiceover and a slideshow titled, Why Maya Lin's Fashion Label is More Style Than Substance. I broke it down like I was analyzing a stranger's brand. Dispassionate, professional, incisive. How the color palette leans too heavily on trend without honoring core identity. Why her marketing lacks authentic storytelling. How influencer saturation is tanking long-term trust. I posted it at 1:13 a.m. By morning, it had 38,000 views. By the end of the week, 600K. People started commenting. Is she actually this bad? I knew something was off with her campaign. Tea spilled respectfully. Other creators picked it up. Duets, commentaries, deep dives. Maya's so-called genius unraveled thread by thread. I watched it all from my aunt's couch, sipping coffee from a chipped mug, a blanket over my lap like armor. But I didn't feel joy. Not yet. Just clarity. A few weeks later, Aunt Lenora walked into the studio with a bag of groceries. She paused, took one look at me, finely dressed, hair brushed, laptop open, and said, You look dangerous. I smiled for the first time in months. Good. That same week, I got a call from a firm that had seen my anonymous analysis videos. They liked the style, liked the edge. They were competitors of Cole & Warner, Ethan's father's real estate brand. They were looking for a fresh rebrand, someone who knew how to hit where it hurt. I took the job. No hesitation. They didn't know the full story, just that I was sharp, strategic, and anonymous. That was enough. I became the voice behind their biggest campaign launch in 5 years. A sleek, emotionally driven reinvention. I studied Ethan's company like I used to study textbooks. I knew their weak points before they did. One night, during a pitch meeting, a passing comment dropped like a match on gasoline. The coal firms under federal review, campaign finance stuff, misreporting, maybe fraud. I didn't react, not visibly, but inside, everything slowed. Fraud. Suddenly, everything clicked. The lavish donations, the sudden account freezes, Ethan's family sweeping scandals under the rug. I started digging. I went back through old emails, flagged receipts, social media posts, financial filings, things I remembered from our time together. Luxury events paid for with ambiguous funds. Donor dinners Ethan insisted weren't real expenses. I started collecting everything. Screenshots, downloads, a drive hidden under a folder labeled Tax Prep 2019. I didn't know what I was building until it was built. I sent it all to a local investigative journalist under an encrypted alias. Every piece of dirt, every connection, enough to start a fire. And then I waited. Some nights, the doubt came back, heavy. Who was I to take them down? I was just the girl who got cheated on and ran away. Crowned, not broken 2 weeks before Ethan and Maya's wedding, I hit publish. No warning, no countdown, no teaser. Just a midnight drop of the first campaign for Crowned. My new brand, my rebirth. Bold, luxe, loud, velvet blacks, blood reds, metallics like sharpened gold. The kind of branding that doesn't ask for a seat at the table. It flips the table and builds its own empire. The launch video was 37 seconds of visual dominance. Women in power suits, slow motion stomps across marble floors, gold crowns placed gently on their own heads, not handed, not gifted, taken. And in the middle, a barely veiled nod to Maya's aesthetic. Soft neutrals, beige tulle, candles melting in a sunlit room. Then, abruptly cut. A voiceover said, "We were taught to be soft, so they could call us bitter when we sharpened." It trended in under 6 hours. By the next morning, it was everywhere. TikTok duets, Instagram shares, influencers calling it the villain era we've been waiting for. Not just a brand, a movement, a reclamation. And while the internet crowned me, I released the final move of the plan I'd been crafting in silence. The leak. The journalist I'd fed evidence to, she ran the story with surgical precision. Exclusive. Cole and Warner linked to campaign finance fraud. Branded shell companies tied to myelin label, screenshots, financial reports, anonymous sources, even a damning clip of Ethan bragging on a hot mic about hiding money where nobody with a conscience would ever look. The story caught fire, faster than I expected. The press had been sniffing around the coal firm for months. I gave them the match. They lit the house. Ethan was arrested within 72 hours. White-collar charges, but enough to ruin him. Enough for headlines, enough for handcuffs. Maya tried to spin it, posted a blurry video of herself crying, claiming ignorance, saying she'd been blindsided by the men around her. But the internet didn't buy it. Her brand's investor pulled out that same afternoon. Her flagship line got pulled from 3 retailers. In a single weekend, they lost everything. And then came the message, a text from Maya. No greeting, no punctuation, no mask. "You think you've won? You'll always be the backup plan. The quiet girl who waited to be picked." I stared at it for a long time. Not because it hurt, because it didn't. The morning of their would-have-been wedding, I got dressed in silence. Black suit, sharp lines, gold chain, minimalist makeup except for the red lip. The same shade Maya once said wasn't really me. I walked into the venue not as a guest, not as the ex, not even as a warning. I came for one thing, closure, the kind only silence could give. The coordinator tried to stop me at the door. I smiled, held up the white envelope. "It's just a delivery." I found the room where Ethan was supposed to get dressed. It was empty now, cold, abandoned in a rush. I walked to the vanity, opened the drawer, and pulled out the 2 things I'd kept safe all this time. The note and my mother's ring, still folded, still unread. I placed them gently on the mirror's edge. Then, just as I turned to leave, the door opened. Ethan. He looked older, or maybe just smaller. The fall from grace never flatters the ego. He froze when he saw me. "Cass." His voice cracked. "You did this." I didn't flinch. "You did this," I said softly. He ran a hand through his hair, wild and unraveling. "I didn't think you were never like this." "You mean you didn't think I was capable?" I said. "You built me into the girl who would stay quiet. You were wrong." He stared at the note, at the ring, at the ghost of who I used to be. I took a slow breath. "You don't deserve my rage," I said. "Just my silence and my success." And with that, I left. No drama, no fire, just the sound of heels clicking down a marble hallway. The same heels I'd planned to wear on my wedding day. Outside, the sky was just beginning to shift from grey to blue. A little wind, a little sun. I walked to the car where Aunt Lenora was waiting. She didn't ask how it went, just handed me a thermos of coffee and turned the radio up. The station was mid-interview. Some fashion editor gushing over Crown's overnight success. An absolute phenomenon. Anonymous no more. Cassidy Hale has arrived. I smiled. Not bitter, not broken, crowned. Built from ash success didn't come in a tidal wave. It came in steps, late nights, small wins, a DM from a stranger saying, "Thank you. Your post gave me the courage to quit my job." Within 3 months, Crowned wasn't just a brand, it was a movement. We built campaigns for underfunded, underestimated women, creators who had their ideas stolen, founders who were told to soften the edges, girls who'd been mocked for being too much or not enough. I made sure their launches roared. My DMs were full of stories. My boss took credit for my pitch. My boyfriend said my business was just a hobby. They told me I was too dramatic to lead. I replied to every single one, not with sympathy, with strategy, because that's what they never expect from women like us, that will get organized. I started hosting monthly mentorship calls. At first, 5 women, then 20, then hundreds. Some spoke, some just listened. All of them were hungry to build, to reclaim. 6 months after the launch, I was invited to keynote a summit for women entrepreneurs in San Diego. The stage was sleek, clean, 1,000 seats, 10 cameras. I stood behind the curtain, heels grounded, mic in hand. On the monitor, a montage played of Crown's campaigns. Bold fonts, fearless faces, taglines like, "Not here to be liked, here to lead." And then the lights dimmed. My name lit the screen. "Please welcome Cassidy Hale." The applause hit like a wave, loud and rising. For a second, I couldn't breathe, and then I stepped forward. I didn't speak with power, I spoke with truth. "I used to think staying small was safe," I said, "that if I didn't take up space, no one could destroy me." I scanned the crowd, women of every age, every background. "But silence doesn't protect you. It just makes you easier to forget." They leaned in. I was betrayed, mocked, abandoned, and still, I'm here. I paused. And if you're here too, after everything they tried to break in you, then maybe the fire didn't ruin us. Maybe it refined us. That night, I sat alone in my hotel room, overlooking the city. My inbox was flooded with messages, event organizers, press requests, old friends resurfacing. I ignored all of it until my phone rang. "Dad." I stared at the screen. We hadn't spoken in over a year. Not since I left everything behind. Not because he didn't care, but because neither of us knew how to reach across that kind of silence. I answered. "Hi," I said quietly. He didn't speak at first. I heard him take a breath, slow and steady. "I saw you," he said, "in a magazine, talking about your company." I waited. "I'm proud of you, Cassidy." Just like that, my throat closed up, not because I needed his approval, not anymore, but because I'd forgotten how much I missed the sound of someone who saw me without agenda, who didn't need me to shrink. "Thanks, Dad," I said. "That means a lot." More silence, not cold, just full. Then, "Your mom would have loved the red lipstick." I laughed, tears in my eyes. "She always said I was too quiet," I replied. "You found your voice," he said, loud and clear. Healing isn't linear. I still flinch sometimes when I see certain names online. I still wonder if I'm allowed to feel proud, or powerful, or angry. But I'm no longer ruled by ghosts. I trust my instincts now. I build slow. I build smart. I don't burn bridges. I outgrow them. And every time I sit across from a young woman with fire in her eyes and fear in her gut, I tell her the same thing. They don't get to define your story. You do. Because the truth is, they tried to bury me in ash, and I used it to build a throne. Scene the apartment is still. Just her. A half-drunk glass of wine. the soft crackle of a candle burning on the windowsill. Outside, the city hums. Distant traffic. Someone's laughter echoing down the street. Life moving on. Cassidy sits on the floor, back against the couch, knees pulled in. She's wearing an oversized hoodie, makeup long washed off, hair up in a loose knot. Around her neck, the chain glints softly. Her mother's ring. She reaches up, presses it between her fingers, not to mourn, to remember, to ground. Her phone rests beside her on the rug. She picks it up, unlocks it, taps to open the voice recorder. For a moment, she just breathes. Then she speaks, soft, clear, unshaking. Note to self, she says, you never needed revenge to become whole. You were already enough, even when you were broken. A pause, a ghost of a smile. But damn, it felt good to finally be seen. She lets the silence stretch, lets the honesty settle. Then, in a whisper, not bitter, not triumphant, just true, my name is Cassidy Hale, and this was never about getting even. She closes her eyes. It was about becoming the woman they never believed I could be. She taps stop on the recording, doesn't replay it, doesn't need to. Instead, she leans her head back, exhales slow. The candle flickers again, not from a draft, from the weight of something leaving her body. Grief, fear, permission. She's not angry anymore. She's not proving anything. She's just here, fully, finally, Cassidy Hale unburned.